A whole new storm cycle setting up for next week. I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods, timing it out as we get through the weekend with some gorgeous weather and get ready for a very active weather period next week. Here's a look at our headlines with our weather impact alert for Northern California Wednesday into Thursday. We're talking periods of heavy rain and snow, as well as travel delays and the potential for more chains in the high country, as well as road closures. Again, that's heading into next week. So we're going to keep these extended forecasts going along with our weather explainers. Our weather and climate specials also always on ABC 10 Plus. You want to make sure you download it wherever you stream for free on TV. We're live, local, and always on. All right, let's get to it. Our current storm cycle that we've been in is now starting to take a little pause. We've had that weather system that's been rolling through much of California, and then it rolled through Southern California, now pushing off to the east. A little bit of remnant snow shower activity for the Southern Sierra, but other than that, things are starting to quiet down and make way for some gorgeous weather for the weekend. A look at Northern California live cameras across the roadways here. Donner Summit, breezy, but at least those roadways are clear. At Echo Summit, where we were particularly hard hit with this latest storm, now starting to see the clearing skies and a great drive up into the high country for the weekend. Along the valley locations, a bit of traffic, but at least those roadways are dry. And again, we are looking at some nice weather. In terms of the winds, they've actually picked up throughout the day behind that weather system that rolled through, bringing us the weather impact for this Sierra. We have some gusty winds, particularly for the Sierra, where wind gusts are upwards of 20 to 30 miles per hour. We'll start to see those calming ever so slightly by the evening. This has done a nice job of clearing the skies and also starting that warming trend. Those are dry and warming winds, and it sets us on pace for a warmer than average weekend forecast. As we head into our weekend, we're actually starting to see those winds shift to the southeast. We'll keep things dry and mild right through our Saturday and Sunday forecast. But we picked up roughly 5 to over 15 inches of snow from that last storm system that rolled on through. Again, this is great news for the ski resorts, because as skiers and riders head up into the high country, they'll have the fresh powder to enjoy as well. This also helped to bring up the totals for the Central and Southern Sierra for our snow water equivalent. Earlier in the season, we were really seeing some bigger deficits grow for parts of the Sierra, but now things are really starting to become much more widespread and even. We're at about 75 to almost 100% of average to date, and those numbers are going to start to become closer and closer to that April 1st average, because we're only about a month away from the time that we actually see less in the way of snowfall and more in the way of snow melt. So our rainy season is starting to come to an end pretty quickly here. We're at 82% of average to date for the statewide snow water equivalent. And for our April 1st number, 77% of average. Snow water equivalent, by the way, is basically if we were to take that snowpack and melt it down, how much would we be able to get in terms of water and storing that water for the dry season? So that's why that number is so very important to us. The snow actually is about a third of our water supply for California. So that April 1st number, we're going to keep an eye on that as we head through this next storm cycle as well. Weekend forecast for Northern California, the capital region. We're looking at highs in the mid to upper 60s with mostly sunny skies. Our average high 67 degrees. We spring forward on Sunday, so just be ready. We're going to lose an hour of sleep, but we also gain more daylight day by day until we get to that summer solstice. So if you enjoy those later sunsets from March 8th, which will be Saturday, that sunset 6:06, and then on Sunday we get that sunset at 7:07. Now, keep that in mind. We'll also have that later sunrise. So if you're one of those people that like to get out and exercise early and really enjoy having the daylight to do it, it's going to be an hour later. Once we get to May 3rd, we start to see a little bit more access to daylight, and it's our first 8 p.m. sunset. So again, we'll have that first 8 p.m. sunset on May 3rd, and then June 20th, summer solstice, we get almost our peak amount of daylight available throughout the year, with our sunrise at 5:41 and that sunset at 8:33. So a lot to look forward to if you enjoy those longer daylight hours. Our forecast for our home kickoff for the Republic, the Sacramento Republic, kicking off at 7 p.m. on Saturday. This is going to be our home opener against New Mexico United at 7 p.m. We've got 57 degrees, and then we'll cool things down to about 52 at the final whistle about 9 p.m. Mostly clear skies and a dry outlook. What a way to start the season. Love to see that for the players and the spectators as well. A little bit of variable cloud cover coming through over the weekend. Some patchy frost early on Saturday, but outside of that, we've got a dry and warmer than average forecast to wrap us up for the weekend. And then we'll get ready for this storm cycle to come on through. It's a very active Pacific. But again, we've been tracking that first weather system that initially looked like it was going to bring rain and snow to Northern California. And now that path has changed dramatically. This is the time of year that we start to see things shifting from a wet pattern to a dry pattern. In California, sometimes we say we don't have 4 seasons, we have 2 seasons. It's the wet season and the dry season. And we're about at the end of our wet season here as we head towards the end of March. By April, our average rainfall starts to really fall off. And then by May, we're lucky to get an inch of rain. That's not to say that we can't have some big storms come through and really benefit from some bigger precipitation totals. But in general, most of us know that by May, things really start to dry out. It's been a great year for Northern California, especially in extreme Northern California. And that was largely due to some early season storms in November and December that just kicked us off to a strong start for the water year, which begins October 1st last year and runs all the way through this year on September 30th. Some of us are seeing some deficits grow. And March, as I mentioned, can still be a big water month for us. And we haven't seen huge numbers so far. We were kind of sitting close to average at the end of February, but we need to get things going again if we want to make our precipitation totals at average. It's not critical at this point. In fact, it would be better if we had some stronger snowpack rather than rainfall, because we don't have a ton of storage capacity right now to take water. Snow, it's our frozen reservoir. It's kind of our savings account of water when we start to see the warmer months. When demand is higher, that snow starts to melt slowly, filling our reservoirs so we can have kind of more capacity for the water to go through the entire state, and deliveries can come up as agriculture gets going and what have you. So it would be nice to see more snowpack than, say, just sheer rainfall coming through. For the first time in a couple of years, we actually saw exceptional drought appear on our drought monitor. So from week to week, the only change was really that small little sliver of exceptional drought growing in the north or southeast corner of California. Our drought severity and coverage index really didn't change that much. And for all intents and purposes, we didn't see a dramatic shift in this drought monitor. It was just that southeast corner right there, that very little tip desert area, that exceptional drought actually grew. But there is some hope in the forecast. 8 to 14-day weather hazard outlook. You can see precipitation risk is actually in the moderate range from the Weather Prediction Center. And as far as our snow, we've got that moderate risk as well of heavy snow right through the northern and parts of the central Sierra. Also seeing the risk for some wind, especially along the coast, but that does translate to the coastal range towards the North Bay area and parts of the Sacramento Valley, the Delta included in that as well. So we'll keep an eye on how the wind plays a factor in our storm cycle. The weather timeline, we'll get through the weekend. Beautiful conditions, patchy frost on Saturday, a break between our weather systems, the one departing today off to the desert southwest and the one that's incoming for next week. We fall back on Sunday with some warmer than average temperatures. By Monday and Tuesday, we've got more clouds, slight chance of some evening showers. But when you see the track of the Monday-Tuesday storm, you'll realize we're going to be lucky to squeeze out anything in Northern California. And then Wednesday, that's when we start to see periods of heavy rain, heavy snow, as well as the possibility of some stronger winds along the coast. The colder temperatures are on the way. The weekend forecast looks lovely. Lots of spring growing. If you need to do some yard work or you just have outdoor plans, it's going to be ideal. It's something that my coworker Rob Carlmark calls Goldilocks conditions, because it's just right. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. It's just right. By Wednesday, we get a reality check that we are still in that transition season. Big blast of cold air comes in. It's going to help to drop those snow levels as well. Ironically enough, this is going to be very similar to what we saw with this last system. We saw those snow levels close to around 5,000 feet come crashing down to around 3,000 to 4,000 feet, and the same time frame, too, during the midweek forecast, and it looks very likely we'll see that once again. The only difference with this storm that's coming in next week, it does look like it is going to give us higher precipitation totals and more widespread kind of weather impact alerts, with the valley seeing heavy rain, the Sierra seeing heavier snow, and that is very likely to cause some big issues in the high country. Some of the storm highlights that we'll be tracking is over an inch of valley rain. Sierra snow totals are coming in about 2 to 5 feet right now from weather models. Temperatures are colder, and again, that snow level from about 3,000 to 5,000 feet, all of which will continue to track over the weekend and early next week as we get closer to our weather impact alert storm for Northern California, which doesn't hit us until Wednesday. That Monday-Tuesday storm, it's going to be a bigger player for Southern California, which actually needs a lot of this rain coming in. It will hold on through the Tuesday forecast, and then we see just this slight chance of some Sierra snow coming in. That'll hit the central and southern Sierra as well. Nice, again, to see some of those totals coming up. So that's our Tuesday storm, Monday-Tuesday storm. But this is the player that we're looking at for Northern California. It starts up on Wednesday morning with snow for the Sierra, rain for the valley, kind of hugging that I-80 line here for rain. But by Wednesday afternoon and evening, all the way through Thursday, we're expanding the reach of that storm all the way into Southern California. We'll also see, just a heads up, the potential for some snow on the Grapevine. So anybody that is traveling, avoid Thursday morning on the Grapevine, because if we have that snow coming in on the Grapevine, oh, you know how that is going to be problematic. Little too early to tell precise timing, totals, and snow level, but that's one of the situations. Be very mindful of what's happening there. As far as the Sierra, we're a little more prepared to deal with some of the snow events coming up, because this time of year, we got the chains, we've got the four-wheel drive. We know to plan for delays and road closures along 80, 50, 88, 89. Some of the passes are closed right now still for the season, a little bit farther to the south here. But we'll keep an eye on all those conditions as they evolve. By Friday, we're starting to see some of this kind of lighten up into the day. We've got another weaker weather system on the move. This one's still bringing us a slight chance of showers on Friday. And then by Sunday of the following week, so we're all the way into March 16th, slight chance of some of those showers returning. A little too early to look at the precise path of this, because honestly, that Monday-Tuesday storm that I showed you that just rode right along the coast and then through Southern California, that looked like it was going to play out like this one as well. So we'll continue to track that following weekend storm. But there's a lot of moisture coming in from the Pacific. I love how our water vapor loop really indicates the counterclockwise circulation of that low and its kind of southern trajectory on that path, and how the next one comes in with a nice plume of moisture associated in the Pacific. A bit of an atmospheric river. March is right about the time that we start seeing a steady cycle of those atmospheric rivers. A more zonal flow comes in on Friday, and that's why it's going to be interesting to see how much we'll actually be able to pull out for rain and snow from that particular line of showers. And then Sunday again, see that nice little dip in the jet and the moisture flow coming in through Northern California. A likely cooler weather pattern still in place through the middle of March. March is going to end up being a cooler month for us, and likely wetter pattern still in play for Northern California, near normal for Southern California by the time we get to the middle of the month. Pacific Northwest kind of benefiting from the path of those upcoming storms a bit more, especially by the end of next week into the following weekend. This weekend, though, it is all about the sunshine. If you're a skier or rider, head up the hill. You're going to find some fresh powder and just bluebird conditions. Gorgeous. Highs will be close to 50 for this year, but those lows get our attention. We're in the teens. We're in the mid-50s to near 60 to 65 degrees for the foothills. Across the coast, everything is so green right now. Those hills are green. This is the time of year We just love seeing places like Napa at 67 degrees. In the Delta, we've got the water flowing through the Delta. Things are really starting to come up. A little closer to the valley, we've got all the almond blossoms kind of just past peak. They were really lit up in all the white just about a week ago or so. But along the coast, we're looking at sunny skies and highs in the low 60s. And again, as we travel inland, beautiful conditions here. We'll see temperatures in the upper 60s to almost 70 to kick off our weekend forecast. A little cold in the morning, but then we get through it with beautiful conditions. We'll continue to see that into our Sunday before the active weather returns. Again, that slight chance for snow popping up in the Sierra Monday and Tuesday, but the really big player comes in on Wednesday. We'll see rain as well along the coast with highs dropping from the 60s to in the 50s. So again, our 3-day forecast showcases beautiful conditions over the weekend, and then we start to bring in the chances for showers Monday and Tuesday, but much bigger chance on Wednesday and Thursday with our weather impact alert days. We've got that spring forward on Sunday. On Monday, since this isn't going to be a real big storm for us, just one of those recalibrating when we get the sun glare for our morning and evening commute, depending on when you have that. Showers on and off then through the extended forecast. All in all, the big one is going to be Wednesday and Thursday. Looks like that next storm on Friday is going to be a bit weaker, but we'll keep you posted on ABC 10 Plus.